It looks like everyone has been able to get in from the lobby. So welcome to the Q&A with Queen's Students webinar. I'll just highlight one more time how you can turn on live captions. If you'd like to add captions, you can select the More icon on the top right of your screen with the three dots, select Language and Speech, and finally click on Show Live Captions. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and it will be available for viewing on the Student Experience Office's webpage within the next few business days. So before we begin this webinar, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and reflect on the land that Queen's University is situated on. Kingston is located on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee Indigenous peoples. My intention in acknowledging this traditional territory is to recognize the significance for the Indigenous peoples who lived and continue to live upon it, and whose practices and spiritualities are tied to the land and continue to develop in relationship to the territory and its other inhabitants today. As a settler and uninvited guest, I make an effort in my daily life to educate myself about Indigenous culture and practices by attending Indigenous-led events on campus and exploring Indigenous spaces, and I encourage all of you to do the same. I recently had the opportunity to take a walking tour of Indigenous spaces and art on Queen's campus and reflect on what they can tell me about Indigenous experiences. A particular space that I enjoyed exploring was the Endayan Teganusiday Residence Courtyard. Features a large gathering space full of Indigenous symbolism. In the center of the space, there's a large turtle shell, which really made me think about Turtle Island, which is the Indigenous name for the continent of North America. This space reminds me of Indigenous teachings centered on interconnection with the land, and it really encouraged me to reflect. It's important to reflect on Indigenous history and teachings and to contribute to a more inclusive community that works towards reconciliation. If any of this is new to you or you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to explore the resources offered by the Office of Indigenous Initiatives and the Four Directions Indigenous Student Center, both online and on campus here at Queen's. Thank you for taking this moment to reflect and learn with me. So now to introduce myself. My name is Ella. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the first year foundation student lead with the Student Experience Office. I'm in my fourth year at Queen's. I'm majoring in math and minoring in computer science, and I will be your host for this webinar today. I'm involved in the Queen's community in a lot of different ways. I'm the co-chair of Queen's Women in Computing, the co-president of the Math and Stats Department Student Council, and during the school year, I work as a campus tour guide, and I also tutor varsity athletes. So we have three amazing student leads with us here today to answer all of your questions. So I'm going to pass it over to them to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name's Megan. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the mentorship program student lead here at the Student Experience Office. I'm heading into my fourth year with a double major in political studies and gender studies, and I'm involved with Women in International Security Queens chapter, serving as the co-president last year. I'm a research assistant at the Center for International Defense Policy. I'm equity director on Queen's Project on International Development, and I published research papers on gender and politics here at Queen's. And I'll pass it on to Sam.
Very cool. Thank you, Megan. Hi, my name is Sam. I use she, they pronouns. I'm entering my third year in September with a psychology major and a sociology minor. I'm also the Shift Project student lead here at the Student Experience Office, I forgot to say. Other than that, I'm a commitment scholar in the school year. I also work as an equity ambassador. Last summer, I worked a lot at the Yellow House, both as a programming assistant and as a marketing assistant throughout the past school year. And I also was involved with a psychology lab here at Queen's and was also a Q Success mentor. And I'll pass it on to Isel.
Thanks, Sam. Well, hi everyone. My name is Isel. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the marketing student lead here at the SCO. Throughout this school year, I've been involved with Queen's Student Diversity Project. I was the co-head. Then I was also involved with Queen's Vertical Farming as the business team lead, Queen's Black Fashion Association as a stylist, and Muse Magazine as a programs coordinator.
Thank you, Azelle, Sam, and Megan. Hopefully that gives everyone watching a little bit of an idea of what we are involved in the Queen's community. So we have three questions to start us off before we get to the live portion of the webinar. So this also gives you guys a great opportunity to send in all of your questions. To send in your questions, you can use the Q&A feature on the top of your screen, and feel free to use the anonymous feature as well if it makes you feel more comfortable. So our first question is, how did you find your work/volunteer position? So I'll start us off. Career Services is a really great place to go for help when you're applying for jobs. They have resume coaches, you can book one-on-one meetings with them. So that was very helpful in terms of finding jobs, and in terms of my club position. So I heard about Queen's Women in Computing and the Math and Stats Department Student Council through like various friends or at orientation. And then I followed them on Instagram to stay up to date with all their hiring. And at first I joined the clubs as a coordinator. Now I'm the co-chair and the co-president. But most clubs also hire first-year interns, so that's a really great way to get involved in your first year. Pass it over to you, Megan.
Awesome. I've found all of my various work and volunteer positions in many different ways, but one thing I cannot highlight enough is looking on Instagram. There's many great different Instagram accounts where you can find various positions. Some that I like to highlight are QU Clubs, Queens U SEO, and Queens U Careers. Queens U SEO is actually where I found the position I hold today. QU Clubs is where I found all of my club opportunities, and Queens U Careers has great career advice and great career opportunities for students at Queens. And I'll pass it on to Sam.
For me, my go-to place for finding work positions at Queens is My Career, which is a website that you can access through the same online portal that you use to access SOLIS, which is My Queens U. And again, that's My Career. The website is pretty intuitive. You can find jobs both on campus and off campus. But checking the website again and again can be kind of stressful. You just see a whole list of different jobs that you can apply to. So I'd also agree with Megan that you can look on Instagram. So just kind of like stay in touch with the different departments, offices, clubs that you may be interested in joining. And they for sure will put out a post or a story about when they're hiring and what they're looking for. And I'll pass it off to Isel.
Thank you. All of those are really great. I would like to add that it's really useful to go to club fairs or the sidewalk sale. That way you get to see people face to face, get to ask them questions, and hear about them, about what they want to say and have to say about the positions they're hiring for.
Thank you, everyone. Okay. Our next question, what is your favorite experience so far at Queen's? So I'll start us off. My favorite experience, or kind of like the best decision I made at Queen's, was joining the Math and Stats Department Student Council. I met so many amazing people. I got to go to so many fun events, and I learned a lot about what I can do with my degree, like in terms of choosing classes, but also like post-grad, which is really fun. I learned about a lot of super cool opportunities for like mentorship with professors, with industry professionals. So definitely an amazing choice, a super positive experience. And I encourage all of you to join your department student council or whatever program you're in, because it's amazing. Definitely the best thing I ever did. So yeah, pass it over to you, Megan.
Awesome. One of my favorite experiences at Queen's was being an orientation leader for the Faculty of Arts and Science. Felt really awesome to sort of give back to the Queen's community and be that first point of contact for incoming first-year students. I also learned a lot myself about different resources on campus that I didn't necessarily know about in my first year, and I met so many amazing first-year students, as well as so many different orientation leaders from different faculties that I would have never interacted with otherwise. So that's definitely one of my favorite experiences being at Queen's. And I'll pass it over to Sam.
Thanks, Megan. I'd say one of my favorite experiences so far at Queen's would be getting involved with the Yellow House. As a queer student of color, I kind of struggled a bit with finding my community, especially in first year when things were so new. But at the end of my first year, I got involved with the Yellow House, which is the Student Center for Equity and Inclusion. They run a lot of programming and events throughout the school year for queer, trans, and BIPOC students. So even if you hold just one of those identities, you're invited to the Yellow House, you can engage in their events. And just through that role and being involved with them in so many ways, I've been able to meet so many people. Everyone there is so supportive, students and staff alike. And it's also led me to this job now, which I'm enjoying so much. So if you're a QT BIPOC student, I highly recommend getting involved with the Yellow House, either through a work position or just attending one of their events throughout the school year. And I'll pass it off to Isel.
Thank you. One of my favorite experiences at Queen's has definitely been exploring all my interests. Queen's is such a safe place for you to explore anything you'd like. There's so many clubs. You can choose anything you'd like to try and try it. I've been able to explore fashion. I've realized I quite like it. And I like working with other creative people to make beautiful things. So that's been amazing. Queens has given me the network, and all these clubs have also given me the resources and the space to make these projects happen. So I would totally recommend you to check out all the clubs, join them, apply. I know it can be a little scary, especially the fashion ones, because a lot of people apply and it can be a bit competitive. But don't worry, you got this. Learn about it, ask questions, and it's gonna be great. You're gonna learn so much about yourself.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, we're going to move on to our last question before the live Q&A. So the last question is, what strategies helped you in managing your mental health in first year? And I'll start us off. I think something that caused me not a bit of stress, but it was a very big adjustment for me, which was kind of the academic difference from high school to university. So for any type of academic stress, Student Academic Success Services, or SAS, is a really great resource. They offer a lot of different workshops to help you with your academic skills, and they also have one-on-one appointments with a writing coach, which is super helpful. So I found them to be a great resource and kind of helped me with that transition from high school academics to university academics. I'll pass it to you, Megan.
Yeah, sort of echoing what Ella said, SAS is definitely a great service that I used in my first year and continue to use throughout my years at Queen's. But another thing I like to do is go on walks by the water. As Queen's students, we're so lucky that Queen's is such a beautiful campus located right off of Lake Ontario. So that is one way I like to de-stress, is walking along the water, regardless of the temperature. If it's summer, if it's winter, you will always find me walking by the water or sitting on a bench by the water. And I'll pass it over to Sam.
Thanks, Megan. For me, the big thing that helped me in first year, also second year, and I'm pretty sure again now in third year, is accessing student wellness services. As a Queen's student, you are able to access therapy through student wellness services. And I feel like just talking to someone, an actual therapist, registered psychotherapist, really helped with me like cope with the new challenges that I was facing as I entered first year, and as well still adjusting with second year. You can really talk about anything, and it just helps to talk things through and also learn more about yourself as you hear it echoed by a therapist. So definitely recommend signing up for therapy if that is of interest for you. It is scary, but there's high reward. I also started going to the gym more regularly. That definitely helped with my mental health. There's definitely a link between physical and mental health, and also just prioritizing routines and your sleep schedule. I know it's like really easy to kind of lose sleep and, you know, do all-nighters or just stay up late to finish the assignments and procrastinate. But sleep is so important for your physical health, also mental health. So prioritize the basic things. Yeah, and I'll pass it off to Isel.
Thank you. Those are all lovely strategies. I love them. And I think something I did was reaching out to others, asking for help. And first year can be a very isolating experience because you don't know anyone. You're in your dorm. You sometimes don't have the need to go out in order. But however, I think it's very important to reach out to others, make friends, talk to someone, sit next to someone in class. So all these human interactions really help our mental health, because they help us realize we're not alone, that we are supported, and there's people around us that care for us. So
Thank you, everyone. Okay, we're now going to move on to the live Q&A portion of the webinar, which is super exciting. So keep sending in those questions, and let's see what our first one is. Okay, our first question: are there opportunities to meet students before classes start?
There's definitely different opportunities to meet students before classes start. One of those being orientation that starts the weekend before classes start. You can meet people in your faculty, you can meet your orientation leaders. Another great opportunity is registering for the Q Success Mentorship Program. First years can sign up for the mentorship program and self-match with an upper year student that can help them guide them throughout their transition to Queen's.
Thank you, Megan. Does anyone want to add something else before we keep going? Okay, amazing. Our next question: what is the gym like at Queen's? That's such a good one.
Unfortunately, it is very busy most of the time, I will say, especially like around like the 3, 4, 5 p.m. area. So I would say like the least busiest I've seen it is in the morning when it first opens up around 6 a.m. So if you can, if you're a morning person, try and get your workout in before classes or before the day actually starts. But if not, like even though it does get really busy, you're still able to get your workout in. There's just a lot of people around you. I'd say also just kind of be wary that like certain times throughout the year can get busier than others. September for sure is definitely, it's going to be more packed than usual. January as well, just the start of each semester, it'll be more packed. But yeah, again, don't let that sway you from going to the gym, especially because again, physical and mental health benefits. Yeah. Does anyone else want to add on to that?
Sure, I love the gym. It's such a nice place. So I can talk a little bit about what we have in there. There's an indoor pool. Then there's a lot of courts. So like squash court, there's ping pong tables, basketball, volleyball, that type of thing. And then there's also weightlifting up. There's a lower level one, I think, that's just weightlifting racks and a bit of a functional training section. And then the further up you go, the things go changing. There's also a women's area that's a women's gym, which I really like. The women's gym is a very safe space. And then of course like stairmasters, rowing machines, and everything you could need. It's quite a lovely space. Another thing I didn't figure out till like 2 years ago or 1 year ago was that you can actually rent out equipment. So if you ever need a resistance band or a ball or something like that, you can get it from lower level one and they'll happily lend it to you.
Thank you, everyone. That's some really good insight to what the gym is like. Okay. Our next question is, can you stay after lectures to ask a quick question to the professor? I can take this one. Yes, you can. You can stay after lectures if you have a quick question. All professors also have office hours. So that's like a couple hours a week where you can go to their office if you have any questions, if you need something from the lecture clarified, you need help with something. So there's definitely lots of opportunities to talk to the professor, ask questions both after the lecture and with office hours. So lots of opportunity. And I would highly recommend going to office hours and asking your professors questions because they are all so nice and they do really want to help you succeed. So yes, great question. Okay, our next question is, what clubs are there at Queen's?
There's a lot. We have a lot as a university. We have a lot. And there's actually a club directory that you can check out. And that club directory is amazing because it will sort out all the different clubs based on interest. So you'll be able to browse around. Also, check out the sidewalk sale. Check out what was the name of the club fair at the beginning of the semester?
I believe it's the Tricolor Open House.
Tricolor Open House. Thank you, Sam. Yes. And we'll also have Eng Day. So that's going to be great. Check out those.
The club directory is the AMS, which is the Alma Mater Society, our student government. They have a club directory. So if you're looking for it online, AMS Club Directory, Queens, should be able to find it. It's a super, super great resource. Yeah, we do have a lot of clubs. And you can also start your own club if there's isn't one that interests you. So lots of opportunities. Okay. Our next question, is there anything you would recommend to do to make friends the first few weeks of school?
I would say just saying yes to a lot of different opportunities. You never know what saying yes to one seemingly small opportunity could spiral into. I know in my first year, somebody asked me to go to the pier. I said yes. I didn't really want to go, but I said yes. And now that person has been my housemate going into 3 years. So my big advice would just be to say yes to as many opportunities as you can without overwhelming yourself.
That's great advice. Super great advice. Okay. Megan, this next question is for you. So, any advice on how to succeed in political studies?
I love when anybody asks me a question about political studies because I think the political studies department at Queen's is one of the best. I might be a little bit biased, but we have such a great department, such great professors, such great resources. My best advice would be to do all of the readings. I know that sounds a little bit daunting and there is a lot of readings, but they will really help you out. Doing the readings, taking notes. I know when I bought the physical textbook, I would go through with a highlighter and highlight anything that I thought was important. So if I went back to sort of skim and look at it, I would have things that I knew were important. I would also recommend definitely going to your TA's office hours. The TAs can help you so much. Just honestly asking them, what do you want from me? What can I do to succeed in this class? And they are there to support you. They want you to do well. So that would be my best piece of advice.
Thank you, Megan. That's some really good advice for political studies. Okay, our next question is, do you have any advice for balancing clubs and volunteer positions as a first year? I can take this one. Definitely the transition from high school to university can sometimes be a lot. You're taking more classes, you have a lot of extracurriculars. But something that really helped me was to put everything in a Google Calendar and stay as organized as possible. But especially in clubs, first year intern positions typically don't have a large time commitment because you're kind of just like getting to know what the club does, helping out in small ways. So it's a really good way to like kind of get your foot in the door, see if you like it, without a massive time commitment. So it definitely can be an adjustment from high school, but I think my biggest tip would be to stay organized, stay on top of your classes, and put everything. I personally like a Google Calendar, but maybe you want a physical planner, something fun like that. So yeah, anyone want to add to that? No, okay. Our next question. What if I don't have any specific questions to ask at office hours? Can I still go to them?
You definitely still can. A lot, if not all, a lot of my professors say, like, please just come to my office hours. I'd love to talk about my research or just the class in general. And it's just a great way to get to know your professor as well, especially because in first year or in upper years, if you're thinking of doing a thesis, you need that connection with a professor. So even if you don't have a specific question, just especially during syllabus week, that is a great time to go to your professor's office hours. Ask them about their research, ask them what their academic career has looked like, ask them about upper year classes within your major that you can take if you're thinking of a certain route. And yeah, as Ella said earlier, all the professors are really, really nice and they really do want to connect with you first years as you progress through your academic career. So do not be afraid to just stop by their office hours just to say hi or talk about academics in general.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, our next question. Would you recommend getting part-time jobs at Queen's during first year? I can take this one. So a lot of people at Queen's work part-time. Obviously all of us student leads work part-time, but pretty much everyone I know works part-time. There's a lot of opportunities both on campus and off campus. So on campus, it's things like some people work at the gym. I work as a tour guide. So, I mean, I'm a bit biased, but I think that's super fun. There's lots of opportunities for that. We have some of our on-campus food locations like Common Ground Coffee House. That's a completely student-run coffee house. A lot of students work there. And then there's also opportunities off campus as well. Queens is about a 15-minute walk from downtown Kingston. So there's so many businesses there who all hire students. So there's lots of opportunities. You can also go to career services. And if you need kind of advice on balancing work and also school, student academic success services can help with that. So lots of opportunities to work part-time. And I mean, I love it, but I am kind of biased. But yeah, amazing question. Okay. Does anyone want to add to that before I move on, actually? Oh, okay, amazing. Our next question. Where can I connect with more second, third, or fourth year students to get advice?
Awesome. I can take this question. So part of my job at the Student Experience Office is I help to run the Q Success program. So Q Success program is a mentorship program exclusively for first years coming into Queens who maybe want an upper year student to help guide them through the transition process. So throughout this program, you can sign up on the Student Experience Office website, or you can just look up Q Success in your browser. We use an external platform called Mentor Canada where you can build your profile, you can talk about your faculty, you can talk about things that you're maybe looking to have in a mentor, and then you can go along and open the profile of all these other mentors. So if you find somebody who maybe has a couple things in common with you, you can match with them in a self-matching process, or they can match with you in a self-matching process. So you can really get set up with a mentor that fits your needs and what you're looking for in a mentor, and they can help you throughout your transition at Queen's, whether that's coming up with studying habits, whether that's learning how to do the adjustment, whether that's learning what dining halls you like, or you just want a listening ear. Q Success mentors can really help you out with anything.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, our next question. How did you feel when you moved to Kingston? I'm from another province and I want to know if the move is easy and if Kingston is a nice place to stay.
I can start this one off. I'm from BC, so moving to Kingston was a really big move for me. I actually had never been to Ontario before I moved into my dorm in Brant House in September of 2023, so it was definitely a big adjustment. But I find that Kingston is such a small town. Queens is really at the heart of Kingston, and and Queens are so intertwined with each other that you feel a sense of pride going to Queens, and the Kingston community also has a sense of pride associated with Queens. Kingston is such a beautiful town. There are so many great restaurants, so if you're a foodie, this is definitely the place to come. I know I'm also celiac, so if you're gluten-free and you're worried about different dietary restrictions, there's so many different restaurants in Kingston. Kingston also, like I said before, has the lake. The lake is awesome. It's so nice to go swimming in September when it's a little bit hot outside and you need a little bit of a refresh. So I would say that Kingston is such a beautiful small town, and that if you're from a small town or if you're from a city and you're looking to get that small town feel, Kingston is definitely a great place to come.
Thank you, Megan. Okay. Our next question. Does living off campus make you miss out on certain opportunities and activities? I'll take this one. No, you're not going to miss out on opportunities and activities. There's so many opportunities within our off-campus community. They're always having events, always hosting super fun things. The off-campus community student lead NADA is amazing. Yeah, so you're not going to miss out. And fall orientation will also introduce you to many people and different services, different opportunities on campus, how you can get involved. So no, you're not going to miss out. If you're living off campus, I would follow Queens OCC on Instagram. They're always posting amazing opportunities and activities. So yes, you're going to be in a whole new community living off campus of the OCC. So amazing. Does anyone want to add to that?
Yeah, Ella, you said it perfectly, but I'd also like to add that whether you live on or off campus, you can still access all the events and programs happening that clubs run. So you don't have to live on campus to be part of a club or be part of a department student council or go to the Yellow House. You can access that as an off-campus student as well.
Thank you, Sam. Okay. Our next question. Any advice for the residence dining plan to get the most out of your plan? That's a really good question. When I was in the dining plan, I kind of loved it. I would always go use my TANs for the trade and meals at the retail locations, specifically Flip It. Would highly recommend going to Flip It. And I was using my TANs every single day, and I loved it. To get the most out of your plan, that's a good question. Hopefully I can answer it. The dining halls are on an all-you-care-eat basis, so if you're like super hungry, just swipe your student card, you get 19 meal slips a week on the first year residence dining plan. You go into the dining hall, there's so many different stations. There's a whole dessert station, which I loved. In Leonard Dining Hall, they always have pizza. I love pizza, so I would always go there. Salad bar, yogurt bar. There's also the True Balance station, which doesn't contain the top 10 allergens in Canada. So if you have allergies, there's also a dietitian you can connect with if you're looking for advice on like healthy eating, stuff like that. So there's lots of ways to use the residence dining plan, but definitely go to Flip It. That's my little tip. go to Flip It. They have burgers, they have build your own salads, they have sweet potato fries, chipotle mayo. It's awesome. Definitely my favorite on-campus food location. I know that wasn't your question, but just sharing with the group because it's amazing. Okay. Does anyone want to share their favorite on-campus food location?
I have to agree with Flip It. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I spent a lot of time in Matt Corey in first year, and Flip It was like, I always got Flip It. Really good. The burgers are really good. I like their burgers.
So good.
Wally's is amazing. They have a beautiful avocado toast with really nice pickled onions. That was really good.
I feel like Location 21 was my favorite just because I lived in Brant House, so it was super close. And also they have a really amazing salad bar where you can like put all these different things into a salad and it's amazing.
Such good recommendations, guys. I miss it. Miss that first year meal plan. Okay. Our next question. How often are students able to go to Toronto or travel in general? I can take this one because I am from the GTA, and I know Sam, you are too, so maybe you can add on. When I go home, I take the Via Rail, and I take it right to Union, and then it's perfect. You can take the subway wherever. My parents come and pick me up because I'm from outside of where the subway goes, but I find it super convenient. The Via Rail station is about a 15-minute drive from campus, so you can get there on the city buses using your student card. Using your student card, you just tap it and you can get on any of the city buses. And yeah, I find it super easy to go home just for the weekend or reading week or things like that. Sam, did you want to add? Because I know you take something other than the Via Rail.
Yes, I do. I usually take Megabus, especially because their tickets tend to be really cheap, especially if you book it like months beforehand. So if I'm not sure if our fall reading week has been announced, like the actual dates, but once you know, you should book like a ticket because it's going to be really cheap. If you book it like a week before you know you need to leave, that's when you'll be spending way too much money. If Megabus does not work for you though, I highly recommend Rider Express. I recently just found them out. I would say they're often more cheaper than Megabus as well. The only thing is that they make more stops. So like from Kingston to Toronto Union Station, for example, they stop in Belleville, Whitby, and Scarborough rather than just Scarborough. So I guess that also helps if you're from those areas. But if you're not and you just want to go to Toronto, that may be more of that will be a longer ride. Yeah. And in general of like frequency of travel, technically you can travel anytime you want. There's usually not like a penalty with attendance, especially for lectures, but with tutorials, that is when like attendance does count for your grade. So just kind of be cognizant of that. Say you need to like go home for an emergency. It's very flexible university. It's not as like strict as high school, but just be kind of cognizant of when your attendance matters and for which classes.
Amazing. Thank you, Sam. There's definitely a lot of ways to get to and from Kingston, whether you're going to Toronto, Ottawa, somewhere outside of Ontario. There's lots of ways. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of questions about the grading scale. The grading scale kind of differs by faculty. So if you're in arts and science, it's different than engineering, different than commerce. So we'll post a link in the discussion part of the Q&A, so you can take a look for your specific faculty. But yeah, it does differ by faculty. Okay, our next question. This one kind of for Megan and Sam. What are sociology and gender studies classes like?
I can speak to sociology because that is my minor. I took sociology 122, so that's a full year class. You have to take it in first year if you want to continue taking sociology courses throughout your academic career here at Queen's. And honestly, it was like, I think, to be honest, the easiest class I've taken, or I did take in first year, just because it was a very foundational class. The professor, I had Dr. Katie Coleman, or Professor Katie Coleman. She was very understanding of everyone's kind of like existing knowledge of sociology. And it was a very foundational course. I would say like if you know nothing, like you can still succeed in that course as well. And she's also I think I would say like all sociology professors that I've had so far, but especially Prof. Coleman. She was very, she always wanted to know if she was like engaging everyone in, in successful way. You could go up to her with any feedback that you had, and she wanted to make sure that everyone was like having a good learning experience. So as for the profs, super nice, and the classes really interesting. First year is very foundational, so you kind of learn about like the founding fathers of sociology, Karl Marx, Emil Durkheim. But as you get into second year, things get more interesting. In second year, I took the sociology of globalization, as well as theories of deviance. So that's when it got more specific. That's when you can like choose like what you want to learn specifically. And I've been having great experiences in my sociology classes so far as well. Yeah. Megan, for gender studies.
Awesome. I also took first year sociology in my first year with Professor Katie Coleman, and she is fabulous. Even though I'm not taking any other sociology courses, I have to say she was definitely one of my favorite professors I've ever had at Queen's, and I cannot say enough good things about her. She is such a kind human. As for gender studies, sort of the opposite of what Sam said for gender studies, you don't necessarily need to take the first two intro to gender studies classes to continue to take gender studies courses in your second or third year, but you do have to take them if you want to minor or major in gender studies. But as for the classes themselves, the professors are among some of the most nice professors that I have ever interacted with. They're all super sweet, super understanding, and a lot of the gender studies courses are very specific to different topics depending on what's going on in the world right now. So if you want to sort of learn about different topics related to gender studies going on in the world right now, I would recommend taking them. I know I took a reproductive justice class in my second year, and it was awesome to learn about all of these different things. But I do have to admit, it can be a little bit of a downer sometimes when you're in these classes and you're talking about things going on in the world right now and how things might not be as perfect as they might seem. So it can be a bit of a downer, but it's really nice to be educated on different topics. And I feel like I have a much more holistic view of different things going on in the world right now. So definitely some of my favorite classes I've taken.
Thank you, Megan and Sam. I took a gender studies class in first year as an elective, and I really enjoyed it, so I would recommend. Okay, our next question. Do you have any recommendations for preparing for Queens besides the next steps already listed on the website? I can take this one. In terms of preparing for Queens, besides like, logging into your student email, things like that, which I assume would be on the website, I made a packing list to get all my stuff organized because I brought a lot of stuff to move into residence, a lot of which I didn't need, but I tried to be organized, tried to make a packing list, and then I also got everything I would need for school. So I do a lot of like writing in my math classes, like writing math equations and stuff. So I got an iPad, which you don't need. You can totally use a notebook, and a lot of people do that. I got everything organized. I got a planner just so I could feel prepared for my first day. Yeah, does anyone want to add on how they prepared?
I honestly looked ahead at a bunch of just Instagram accounts at Queens to see what kind of events that they were holding, other than orientation. Orientation is like the place to meet people and kind of get settled in. But I know a lot of clubs hold like welcome events. The Yellow House has a Yellow House welcome, where they invite you to the center, and it's just kind of like a drop-in day. You can learn about the center, learn about the events, meet other QT BIPOC students. So just kind of look at, explore, take some time on Instagram, look at the different accounts that you may be interested in, whether that be clubs or the Yellow House or even OCC. There's a lot of different events other than orientation where you can meet new people and just kind of get situated to Queens in general. I'd also say this kind of offhand, but take as much time to enjoy like your hometown and like your family and your friends and where you are at like right now, because once you come here, it's going to be like you're going to hit the ground running. You're going to be immersed in this whole new campus experience. So I would say just to like prepare for that, spend as much time as you can with your friends and your family and take walks in your neighborhood and just soak it all in before orientation ramps up.
That is great advice, Sam. Definitely. I remember my last week before I left for first year. I just spent time with my family and my friends every day because obviously I still go home on some weekends and stuff, but it was nice to spend some time with them before, the busyness of university started. Okay, our next question, is it difficult to maintain a high GPA with an active social life? And I can take this one. It's definitely possible to achieve both. You just kind of have to maintain that balance on both sides. So you can connect with Q Success mentors, super helpful. Student academic success services can be really helpful with that work-life balance, time management, whatever time management strategies you use. If you're really into having a physical planner or you prefer to have a Google Calendar, that can be really helpful as well. I would go study with friends. We would go to the library. Maybe we would go to a coffee shop to study. So it's I'm still having that social aspect with my friends, but I'm also studying, focusing on my classes and things like that. Or in the first year, especially, we would all go to the dining hall together. So that's not only a nice break from studying, which is important, but also some social time. So it's definitely possible to achieve a high GPA in an active social life. You just kind of have to figure out what helps you have a work-life balance. So great question. Okay, our next question is for Megan. Your position at the Center for International and Defense Policy seems interesting. Could you please tell us a bit more about it and how to get involved in research areas that matter to us?
Yeah, of course. So currently, I'm a research assistant at the Center for International Defense Policy. I'm a research assistant for Dr. Michael Murphy, who's actually the director of the Center for International Defense Policy. And a lot of my work right now is involved in quantum computing, which seems really not politics, but you would be surprised how quantum computing is up and coming, especially in the world of defense. And the way I got involved in this was checking my student email. A lot of great emails come through your student email. It was an email directed to politics students saying that the Center for International Defense Policy was hiring just in general. So I said, why not just submit my resume? I submitted a cover letter, and that was how I got this position. But how I got involved in research was through joining clubs that had mentorship programs specifically with faculty. So in my second year, I was a part of Women in International Security as a coordinator. I signed up for their mentorship program, and I got partnered with Dr. Stephanie Von Latke, who also happens to be the founder of Women in International Security Canada. So she helped set me up with various research opportunities. I actually worked as a USURF student, which is undergrad summer research fellowship, and she was my supervisor. So that's how I first started publishing papers, and she sort of connected me in with various professors at Queen's, and I think she vouched for me to get this position at the Center of International Defense Policy. So I would say anywhere you can, check your student email. I know you're going to be getting a ton of emails into your student email, but there are some gold mines that you can find in there that not other people are looking at, and just making those connections with professors early on.
Thank you, Megan. Definitely seems like a very interesting research position. Quantum computing, math and computing, that's what I'm doing. So very interesting. Okay, our next question, any tips for note taking? Personally, for me, I like to take, when I'm in my lectures, which are typically kind of math lectures, so it's not a lot of words, it's more equations and stuff like that. I write everything down on my iPad using Microsoft OneNote, I believe it's called, because it's very easy for me to then open it up on my laptop. So when I'm studying or working on an assignment, I can have my notes open up on my laptop, and then I can be, doing the assignment or whatever on my iPad, which I find that to be very helpful. I know it might be a bit different in classes maybe that Megan, Sam, and Roselle are taking, where it's more you're typing up words and stuff, so maybe they can speak to that. But I love an iPad. Also, a lot of people in math use notebooks, which sometimes I do that too, but I like to be able to move all the pieces around. But notebooks are very popular in math. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to say from the humanities perspective, I tried to write my notes in first year on my iPad, but I definitely just could not keep up with what the professor was saying. So I type all of my notes. I use, I think it's called GoodNote. So I can also have it on my iPad and write, and it can also be on my computer and I can type. So that's what I use. But it definitely came in handy when I had to do my stats course that I was able to write my notes because, sort of like Ella said, there's a lot of equations. And if you're taking political studies, you will have to take statistics eventually. So for statistics, I would recommend writing your notes, but for all of the other humanities courses, me personally, I like to type my notes because I find it much more efficient.
I can also second that as also a humanities student in psychology and sociology. There's so much to say in lectures. So I prefer to write, and I did write a lot in high school, but like Megan, I just couldn't keep up. So I type all my notes now. I kind of just use a Google Doc. It works, it's basic, but I would like to move to an actual app like GoodNote. Um, and I will say another tip, especially if like you're in psychology or sociology or another, I'm sure poli-sci, there's a lot of readings. If you can, if you have the time, don't beat yourself up if you can't, but if you have the time, I would highly recommend doing the readings before lecture or just doing some kind of like scan over the textbook before, just so like you go in with some basic knowledge of what the professor is going to go over. And you can kind of like create an outline in your notebook or in your document already, so then when the professor is speaking and they're saying things that aren't in the textbook already, you can recognize that and write down that information. Because oftentimes a professor will start off with like information that's already in the textbook or in the reading. So you already have that, but then they'll expand more. So if you do the readings beforehand, it helps you recognize when they're adding more things. And usually that's also the information that they're going to test you on in midterms or exams. So if you can, try and just get a basic knowledge of the lecture before you go in.
Thank you guys. Those are some really great tips. Okay, our next question. Could you recommend any study spots exempting the library? Because I heard it gets very busy during exam season. It does get very busy during exams. We have 5 libraries at Queens, 4 on main campus and 1 on West. And definitely during exams, they do get very, very busy. Um, I would say most of the buildings, they like are open during the day and a lot of them have tables or little study areas. And I would definitely recommend those if you're looking for somewhere on campus. My personal fave, Jeffrey Hall, the math building, on like the 1 level below the main floor because it goes like 2 floors down. There's like this really nice area and there's like windows and there's plugs to plug in my computer to charge it, which I really enjoy. So definitely a lot of the buildings you can just walk in and there's tables and stuff, which is really nice. In terms of like off campus, coffee shops are really fun. It's a bit like busier, a bit louder. So if that's kind of the environment you like to study in, I'd recommend that. You can get a fun drink, a little sweet treat while you're studying, which is really nice. But yeah, Jeffrey Hall, that's my favorite camp study spot. That's not a library. Does anyone else want to share their favorite?
I
I
have to
would
say, oh,
go ahead. My
sorry.
bad. Sorry.
One of my favorites is Common Ground Coffee House after hours. So they close during exam season. I just assuming around like 6 or 7. And then after hours, people think that they actually close the seating area, but they don't. So if you head to Common Ground Coffee House at like 7 p.m. when they're closed, then there will be rarely any people there. So that's definitely my exam tip.
I would say my favorite non-library study spot, especially in first year, was Mac Quarry or Macintosh Quarry Hall. Sorry. They have a lot of booths on the first floor where you can kind of sit with other people. So if you're a type of person who likes to study with other people, there are booths where about 4 people can fit in, and there's like a table, and then yeah, and it's a really nice place to study. It's not as quiet as a library because there will be people, walking through the building, but it's still quite nice. Also on the first floor of Mac Quarry are little kind of coves where there's a long table with about 8 or 6 seats, and on each side is whiteboards or like these glass walls that people often use as whiteboards. So as long as like you clean afterwards, or sometimes people just leave up their work to let other people look as well. But that is a nice place to go if you're looking for a whiteboard and if you're trying to work with other people as well. And I will also second Ella that the coffee shops in downtown Kingston along Princess Street are also a great place to study as well.
Thank you. I would definitely, oh, Iselle, do you want to share?
Oh, yes. Off campus, the Kingston Public Library is pretty nice. It's free, open till I think 8, 9 p.m. You can get a library card as well, use their services. But if you just want to drop by to study, it's also a really good option. There's Wi-Fi, plugs, washroom, water filling station, everything you need.
Amazing. Those are all really good study spaces. And if you are looking for like whiteboards, as Sam was saying, during exams, a lot of times like lecture halls or just like classrooms are open. So you can kind of just go in, especially in Macintosh Corey Hall, you can go in and use the whiteboards, which is really nice. Okay, our next question. Where can we find information about other events going on with the Student Experience Office?
So you could head to our Instagram at QueensUSEO to learn all about our events. We're regularly posting, whether it be reels, posts, stories, and that's a very good way of learning about us and what we're up to.
Amazing.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. Also, there's a newsletter. If you sign up for a newsletter, it comes out every Monday at 4 p.m. Very detailed, very useful.
The Instagram is so much fun. And the four of us are often featured in some of the Instagram reels. So you might see us. Okay, this is going to be our last question. We'll all answer it. So the question is, what is one thing you wish you knew in first year? I'll start us off. The one thing I wish I knew was that it's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's a big transition, and a lot of people are kind of feeling it. It's not just you, but you will adjust. You will meet your people, and but it is okay to feel like, yeah, like this is a lot. There's a lot going on. And I really did wish I knew that in first year because now I'm like, wow, looking back, I met some of my closest friends. I got involved in so many amazing clubs. I took so many amazing classes. So yeah, it is okay to feel overwhelmed at the beginning and you will adjust. So yeah, Megan, do you wanna go next?
Yeah, I would say something I wish I knew was that you don't have to get super involved in Queens in your first year. I know I just said how many things I was a part of, and you can see it on the screen, but in my first year, I didn't join any clubs. I didn't work a part-time job. I exclusively focused on me and my transition to Queens and making friends, which was just how it worked out for me. And then I realized in my second year that I wanted to get more involved, so that's when I did. But you 100% do not have to come to Queens and become super involved right away. You have time. You have at least 4 years here to get yourself adjusted. Just get involved with the campus if you want to. Obviously, you don't have to. I would recommend it just because I've met so many amazing people, but you do not have to do that straight away in first year. And I'll pass it to Sam.
Thanks, Megan. I think the one thing I wish I knew and just realized in first year is that your experience at Queens is so customizable. I entered first year thinking that like I'm going to be a I'm going to specialize in psychology. I'm going to do a bunch of research with different profs. I'm going to do a thesis and I'm going to be a psychotherapist. And I thought it was just like one linear path. But at Queens, there's so much that you can do to explore other parts about yourself other than just your degree. As we all said, there are clubs. You can find that through the Alma Mater Society club directory. You can find that by searching up AMS Queen's University, and then there will be a tab with club directory. You can find out what you like outside of your degree through that club directory. You can get involved with your department student councils and just find out other ways to excel in your academic career other than just like the linear path or like the one way you thought of. There are so many ways and so many career paths that you can end up going down, and it's not just like one thing. Or there are so many departments, offices that you can get involved with in terms of like a work position. I mean, for me, I thought I was just gonna like, again, go straight down like the psychology route, but getting involved with the Yellow House as a program assistant and then a marketing assistant, it helped me reconnect with my passion for creativity and marketing and design. And now I'm here as a Shift Project student lead, advocating for allyship and building community on campus. And I really enjoy the spot where I'm at right now. And I don't think that would have happened if I had like stuck to the rigid kind of path that I thought I had to go down in first year. So I'm glad that I customized my experience here, and I wish I just let myself embrace that more in first year. So yeah, that's what I would say. And I'll pass it off to Isel.
I wish I had taken a deep breath because I was just so stressed the whole time for no reason. Everything else turned out to be fine. Maybe not how I expected it, but definitely took, as Sam said, took me where I am today. And I'm very grateful to be where I'm at today. Um, Another thing I wish I knew was that it's okay to repeat a class. I had to repeat one class and I was just so devastated. I thought it was the end of the world. And then I'm in economics, so I talk to friends and stuff. Everyone in econ, not everyone, but a lot of people have repeated a class. It's very common. I don't know if it varies by program, but at least in my program, it's very common to repeat classes. So I'm not saying we're going to have to repeat a class, but what I'm saying is just have grace with yourself. Be kind. It's your first time living, coming to uni and doing all this. You're doing the best you can. It's overwhelming. It's a lot, but you'll also get a lot from it. You'll change, you'll grow, you'll meet beautiful people, have beautiful experiences. So I'll just say, like, embrace it and don't be too harsh on yourself and take a deep breath because it genuinely will be all right.
Thank you, everyone. That's some really good and a very helpful advice. So I'm going to quickly highlight some upcoming events that we have. So this Saturday, August 22nd, is our last First Year Foundation Summer Social, and it's going to be a virtual campus scavenger hunt. So this is a great way to meet your fellow classmates before you even get to campus. And then on August 31st, we have our Need to Know Information for Parents and Supporters webinar. So that is going to be super informative and helpful. You can also pass that on to your parents. And you can check out the summer webinars page on the Student Experience Office website for more information and to register for all of our upcoming events. And then I'm just going to take a quick moment to highlight a quick opportunity to be entered into a draw for a $50 Q-Shop gift card. So we have a feedback form on our webinar series, and we want to hear from all of you. All incoming students, parents, and supporters are encouraged to provide their feedback. It'll only take approximately 3 minutes to complete, and it can be done using the QR code on the screen. It's also as a link in the Q&A discussion section. You can complete one feedback form per student experience webinar per person. If you're watching this webinar as a recording, you can also complete the survey. It will close August 31st at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time, shortly after the final webinar takes place. A recording of this webinar will be made available within the next few business days on the Student Experience Office webpage. So I want to thank all of our amazing student leads for our time today and our staff on the back end and all of you at home for attending. I hope you have a great rest of your day and best of luck in September at Queen's. I'm super excited for all of you. So have an amazing day, everyone.